Hey guys, how you doing? I haven't excuse me, I haven't posted anything on YouTube for like 6 months, so I thought I'd come on and do a quick conversation about effective reps because I was talking about that on Instagram earlier. So let's just give another couple seconds for people to start coming on if they're going to come on or not. Trying to save Troy. What about you? Hey Kev, can I just see you on Instagram? Okay, so Troy, good for you. Well, I guess I might as well start talking because it doesn't seem like really anybody's showing up other than us. Hey Jonathan, what's up? How are you today? Hey guys, oh, there's more people. Hey, how are you today? Yeah, small group. What's up? Okay, so I'm going to start talking about effective reps right now really quickly. Okay, guys, effective reps are the reps that matter. So we have to ask ourselves the question, when we go to the gym, when we work out, which of the repetitions, which for exercises, which of our sets really make the most amount of difference when it comes to gaining muscle mass, right? Well, an effective rep, according to some of the studies that are out there, is what reps seem to count the most. What is that range? And apparently, a couple things need to happen. The biggest thing that needs to happen is you need to hit 100% muscle activation. So 100% recruitment of your muscles to actually push some kind of weight up. And then when you get there, you need to do it enough to get a certain degree of fatigue. So basically what they said was, if you can get 100% muscle activation, which is within 5 to 8 reps of your 1 rep failure, right? That's supposed to give you the optimum amount of muscle growth. So everything else you do before that is just a build up to get to there, so to speak. So if you did 25 reps, only the last 5 to 8 reps would actually count. If you did 15 reps, only the last 5 to 8 reps would actually count. Which kind of gives you the idea of why over the years you've seen like 5 reps being kind of that heavy rep goal set, so to speak. That might be the reason why, because intuitively people realize that seemed to be the sweet spot for getting that kind of maximum muscle recruitment that seemed to lead to better growth. So does everybody follow me so far in the live? Okay, so the reason why I'm talking about this is because, when we design our workouts, we want to design it from the end result, keeping the end result in mind, so to speak. So what we want to do is we want to go, how many reps do we want to plan to get the most amount of effectiveness? What I find when most people go to the gym, they just work out. They just lift. They don't have a plan. They don't have an idea of what they should do. So in this particular case, we're talking about effective reps. So what you want to do is you want to go to heavy enough to get the 100% recruitment in that 5 to 8 rep range. So if you were planning your sets, you'd want to do maybe 3 sets in 4 to 6 reps to failure to make sure you're in that range, right? And the problem is most people, even when they're lifting heavy, and maybe especially when they're lifting heavy, they'll stop 4 or 5 reps short of failure and not even realize they're doing it. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the comments here while we're talking. So that's really important. So then you start going into effective reps and you go, well, how many sets do you need? Well, according to some of the studies that I've read, really around 15 sets per body part seems to be the best range for muscle growth, spread out over the course of a week, right? So if you look at that, you go 15 sets. Well, how do you spread that out? So you could do 3 different days of, say, chest with 5 sets per day, and that still hits 15 sets per week. Sorry guys, I'm missing some of your comments because I'm just kind of talking as we're going here. And I'm not on my computer on my phone, so I really can't see it that well. So if I miss it, we can come back to it later at the very end. So now we have the idea of 15 sets spread out during the course of a week of effective reps that are 5 to 8 reps from failure. Sorry, I'm noticing at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm a little tired here. But so we want to design our workouts around that. So let's say you're doing a chest workout. You could do 3 3 days, 5 sets, incline presses spread out over the course of a week in that rep range of 4 to 6 reps, and you're most likely to spend most of your time in that effective range. Other people will do 20 sets of chest, right? And they'll actually do, let's say, 4 exercises, 5 sets apiece, and they'll take it easy on the first 15 sets of their chest so that they can finish their last sets. So it ends up getting to a point where the only thing that was effective out of the 20 sets they did might have been the last 2 sets of their last exercise. And I've seen people do that a lot because they're not trying to push everything close to failure in the beginning sets because they want to save some kind of, I guess we would say, room or energy for these last sets. So they spend an hour doing this thing for only the last like 2 sets to really matter. That's just insane, right? But that's the common thing that we've seen by having too many workouts done on magazines or on the internet or whatever, or just doing workouts for the sake of doing workouts. So again, we want to maintain that intensity. So to maintain that intensity, we want to stay in that 5 to 8 rep range to failure. And I usually like 4 to 6 reps because, well, it just makes life a little bit easier so you don't have to do as many. I'm going to read this comment for a second. James, I leave class early. Sorry for disappointment. Okay. I didn't actually catch the whole last part of this message. This new design for YouTube Live is a little bit strange. Anyway, let's getting back to this idea. So, concept number 1, 5 to 8 rep range to failure, to 1 rep max. And usually, one of the reasons why I usually like to use also the 4 to 6 reps to failure is because most people think of failure as basically when you start sacrificing form. So their idea of a 1 rep failure would be like, I'm struggling, but I can still get it. When a reality failure would be no longer being able to move the bar. So I figure if we stay in that 5 rep range to that kind of failure, we're probably still 4 or 5 reps into that effective range, which is pretty good. And then now we have to design the rest of our workout over the course of the week over the idea of those 15 sets. So 5 sets 3 times, 15 sets for 3 workouts, or 7 or 8 sets twice a week to get that 15. Hey, what's up? So anyway, again, looking at these comments here. So, getting again to this basic idea of what we're covering. Wow, I'm gonna have to actually delete this entire thing and redo this as another video later. 0 credit, who will give you? Let me see this real quick while we talk about this. You know what's funny? I don't even know how this lists our chat. It's really weird. You know what I can probably do? I bet you I can actually go on YouTube and watch this from my own YouTube channel, which I hadn't thought about. YouTube. Give me 1 second, guys, okay? Okay, somebody write something so I can see it on my screen down here. Okay, somebody write something so I can see it on my screen down here. Okay, somebody write something so I can see it on my screen down here. Okay, somebody write something so I can see it on my screen down here. Wow. That is just really strange. Wow, that's just really weird how that looks on here. All right, let me try not to do that in the future. Sorry. Now, what were you just saying recently? Let's go back to a couple questions here. Hey, James, can you please repeat what you just said in a nutshell? Came here late. Sorry. We were talking about the idea of effective reps. So what we were saying is that effective reps are when you have 100% muscle recruitment, which seems to be about 5 to 8 reps 5 to 8 reps to failure, to absolute failure. And I usually like to do 5 reps to, say, a positive failure because most people won't actually go farther than that. And then we were also saying that it takes about the most effective amount of reps per week, sets per week to promote muscle growth would be about 15 sets. So you want to like do a major muscle group at around 15 sets per week spaced out. Oh, why do you like more David or Dylan's? I like them both. No, Jason Blaha's a bad. I really don't know that much about Jason Blaha, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen a couple of his stuff, but I don't really know that much about him. Oh, hey, Jack. So, anyway, wait. Jonathan, that's one series. Yeah, I like that because you actually hit the muscle group more frequently if you do 3 groups of 5 sets per body part during the course of an entire week. And that frequency does seem to help a little bit as long as you don't need more rest than that. Also, for ancillary muscle groups like shoulders or arms that are being worked out with the primary groups, you probably don't need as many sets. You probably could do half of that and still get the same effect for muscle growth. Yeah, full body 3 times a week would be really good, or upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower. I'm actually not working right now. I just have all my stuff here that I would use for YouTube or Instagram. So sorry that wasn't very polished, but I am kind of tired. But again, getting back to that idea, so now you got that idea of the effective rep, right? 100% recruitment requires the 5 to 8 reps to failure, and you want to try to get 15 sets per major body group per week, and you can break that down into 2 or 3 workouts. I think 3 is more effective than 2, but it's kind of up to you. Dawson, have you ever took Dylan's EUP program? I haven't seen Dylan's EUP program yet. About 4 sets in each. Yeah, bodybuilding, full body type build. Yeah, I do. Well, is it? Okay. Have you made money from YouTube? I've made about $400 on YouTube so far, believe it or not. That's about it. But I really haven't been posting for the last year, so last 6 months. So I really can't say very much with that. So, any other questions about what we were talking about a little bit? So remember, if we want to devise a program now, we would want to work back from that idea. 15 sets per major body group, maybe 9 sets for smaller body groups, and then we want to work with heavy enough weight that it's 5 to 8 reps to failure, and that's kind of where we want to live. And after that, it may not make much of a difference what the hell you do within that context. Now, here's the weird thing that I have to ask you guys. Why is it that I can't see your comments once they passed? So what did you want to ask me about SARMs? Oh, there it is. What's your favorite SARM? The most popular one right now is like Rad 140, I think. $22 sets each might be a little more than it has to be. You have to be 18 to buy SARMs. Are SARMs dangerous? They don't appear to be so far. Everybody's different. You should always, not take my advice as medical advice, but so far nobody's really had major side effects that I've seen. Prolactin doesn't seem to increase with MK677. That's what you're asking me. Does MK677 increase prolactin? And apparently it really doesn't do that. That's one of the things people like about the MK677 as a growth hormone secretagogue. I'm viewing it in full screen, but it's locked in a portrait mode, and I'm using my phone, which probably makes it more complicated. Yeah, the route, yeah, that will help with gyno. Any other questions you guys have right now while we're on here? I know you guys were here from earlier. Dave's not a lot smaller, but he might be 5 pounds less than he was before, mostly because he went vegan. Favorite stimulants? Right now, DMHA and ephedrine probably too. James, would you let David, Dylan, Anthony, etc. sell your blind dating shows? Would I let them put me in a No, I wouldn't let them put me in a blind dating show. Best pre-workouts DMA, probably I like the iPrevail Rogue. Also, what to stack with Austrian. You don't have to stack anything, but you could use like Rad 140 with it. What would my green girl be like? She'd have to be bright, very bright, and personable. I really value intelligence and confidence in women, believe it or not. Oh, and she has to be attractive too. That helps. I don't think that the multiple angles hitting a muscle group really helps that much, to be honest with you. I think it's a way of really just making you focus in more, because as you change the exercise up, you might mentally be more engaged. Believe it or not, you know what really works the best? Your favorite exercise for that body group, you'll tend to overdo it. In a good way. Do you probably separate them now? God. All right, this thing is just a nightmare with this. Do you lift regularly, James, and how were you back in your prime? I don't lift regularly right now. I'd like to start lifting regularly again. Cancel. Emma, could you repeat your comment? Because I kind of missed it. Jack, I know that Dylan's been taking stuff, but I don't know about the rest of them so much. Business is slow right now. James, did you agree with Adam Peeler, ideal training? Why does it just vanish like this? It's so annoying. Better tip for better mind and musculature? Don't worry about the weight so much as focusing on the what you're actually doing. That's a big deal there. Is James lifetime 9? I've used pro hormones before, so no. Jack, no, thank God. Elliot Atwell is still locked up as far as I know, he's not locked up at all, actually. Oh, can you scroll up? I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Oh, I'm an idiot. Thank you for that tip. Emma, would I do, you know what? I would probably, you could do both, but I would probably separate them, honestly. You only have so much energy, you know? It is 2 o'clock in the morning here, 2 a.m. Oh, does Elliot Atwell actually post on Instagram? The guy definitely has no shame, right? Could you repeat the best press with what? With DMHA? Okay. Jonathan, talk to you later. Thoughts on training for powerlifting? Usually most things are just, you know, lower your reps down to triples and doubles, usually. What to expect on YK11. You expect YK11 to improve anything else you're taking more than anything else. By itself, though, it should still make you denser and leaner. DMA is good, yeah. Hello, have I known David? 6 years now? 6 years, I think. Yes, I will be uploading more. Do you think I should delete this thing after we're done, or something I should leave it up here for people to watch if they want to ask, if they want to hear questions being answered? Tips on gaining weight. Take your body weight times 16 plus 10% of that plus 400 and start with that as a calorie base and then go up from there if you need to. Yeah, I need more videos. Adam Peeler is against power bodybuilding. Well, he's probably sitting there and saying it's more effective to do one thing at a time, and he's probably right about that, actually. Thoughts on hybrid SARM cycles? God, this thing is so annoying. Hybrid SARM cycles with test as a base. Okay, if you're taking test as a base, you probably don't need very many SARMs, guys, because there's so much, test is so much stronger. But you could add something to it. Are steroids worth it? That's a personal decision, man. You got to make yourself, whether you want to be bigger versus the risk that you're going to take. Deleted, so exclusive, that's funny. Would you go all out on the first exercise of all work and keep going to failure on each exercise? I would, yes, if I could. But usually what I usually do is have people build up to failure. So the first couple exercises take you closer and closer there, and by the third or fourth one, you're failing. You know, so even by exercise 2, you should be close to that effective range. Because most people aren't going to want to push their first exercise to failure, you know what I mean? Leave it up, hard gunner from puberty. Yeah, I would try that or some letrozole or something like that. And I don't know about any sides from that for as far as your gyno concerned. Yeah, there's protocols for gyno guys, natural gyno from puberty, involving like tamoxifen, which is Novadex, or involving like letrozole. You kind of have to figure it out yourself. I know there's some new ones out there, but I'm not as familiar with them, honestly. I talked too fast, I'm sorry. Delete it and make a video on SARMs. Okay. Best treatment for shoulder problem? Look up, there's a book out there, used to be called the 7-Minute Rotator Cuff Solution, guys. You can probably still find it in a PDF format. It's one of the best things out there for self-treating the shoulder. The second thing I would get is some BPC 157. If you don't want to do the injectable, you can find a pill version. If you look up Dr. Seeds and BPC 157, you can actually find a pill that actually works. But the injectable obviously is better. Hold on one second. Yes, I can still do live up. I just don't know if people are going to complain because it's not the same production values as a normal video or not. Plus, you see my finger keep moving in place here, which has got to be annoying, right? James, have you used a... Did you ask me if I used Bathmate before? I've been going to it in every set. Jack says, I've been going to failure in every set, and my gains have been insane. Is that bad? Hey, that's not bad at all. Yes, we're first. What would you say are the things you tell your younger self, speaking in a training sense? I would probably say be more consistent, sleep more, go out less, have less friends. What's your background on lifting, Mr. James? I mean, I worked out a lot. I don't know really how to answer that question. I've done a lot of reading. Best way to put on size without too much fat. Try to stay underneath the curve, so to speak. Like, you're going to put on fat when you put on muscle mass unless you take drugs. And even then, you're going to put on fat if you put on muscle mass. So your best bet is to try to stay so that it doesn't get too out of hand. You know, maybe you gain 10 pounds. Some of that's going to be body fat. You hold that 10 pounds for a few weeks, then lose a couple of it, and then go back up again. Basically a slower gain, a slower kind of bulk. Hi, Bo. Hold on a second. I'm missing some of these just because they're going by so fast, guys. What's your honest opinion on nootropics? I would definitely take nootropics, especially the over-the-counter stuff. Phosphoceriene, CB-coin. I'm gonna do a whole other series on that shortly. Once I pull my head on my ass and do more work. But yeah, definitely good stuff. You feel better. You're more focused. You get more stuff done. Thoughts on the Hooligan pre-workout? I've actually never seen that one. I'm sorry, Alan. Or yes, Alan, right? Jack, Jack asked me, what do you think of Mike Israeltail's method of training, starting a mesocycle with less sets, and further from failure and ending a mesocycle with many more sets, all to one or failure then deload? Okay, all right. I've noticed that there's this fascination with people, especially to study this stuff, and I understand why, to make everything really, really complicated. But aren't they really saying when they see stuff like that of we're going to go really heavy and then not so heavy and then really light? So yeah, I think varying the amount of work that you're doing, depending upon your ability to recover, is a good idea. So if, for example, let's say it's summer vacation for you when you're in high school. You've got nothing to do, no job. You can probably handle more power, more volume, because you get plenty of rest, right? But by the same token, if you work full time and go to school, you may have less ability to do these things. So you need to start planning in more types of, not deloading, but resting, so to speak. So, but you gotta gauge that by yourself. Like some people I've had that I've trained as clients can go 3 weeks, 4 weeks, balls to the wall, complete whatever, no problems at all. Other people I've had, they'll start flaking out after about 2 weeks and they just won't go as intensely, and you need to start building some rest into it. So yes, on the one hand, I agree with that kind of idea, but I would want to see it more personalized for you, if that makes any sense. And I'd also want to see it demystified, because I guess it's cool that they use all the different terminology for it, but in reality, we're just talking about really simple principles, you know? Where you are, right? Good to see you stream. I enjoy your style and info you have to share. Thank you very much. Hold on a second while I catch back up here, guys. I have to find a better method of doing this. Wow. Okay, there's no long-term side effects of nootropics that we know about. Tamoxifen and letrozole for the Novadex, but you have to look up the protocols. If you look up gyno protocols on a bodybuilding site, you should see some stuff. Best pre-workout solely for a pump. Believe it or not, just start taking 8 grams of citrulline a day. That makes a big difference. Or maybe combining with some agmatine sulfate. Do you own rock bottom? No. Hi, James. Hi, Bo. Oh, and thank you, Bo, for saying that earlier. What was your all-time biggest lifts? You know, I never did a lot of legs, guys, deadlifts or squats, because I had big legs from the get-go. Like, literally, somebody training 5 years wouldn't have had my legs. So, but bench-wise, I mean, I hit over 300 by high school, but I really wasn't a strength lifter. I just kind of got there, you know? Hi, Leonard. Troy, opinions on pharmaceutical speed? That's what you're asking me. Speed is always good if you can use it. Great appetite suppressant. Great way to ruin your life in some ways. Yeah, as long as it doesn't bother you, that's fine. Gorilla Stim. You know, all the Gorilla products that I've seen so far, Kev, seemed like they were okay, honestly. Thoughts on Dark Energy? Dark Energy is a really powerful pre-workout because it's got 200 milligrams of DMHA and 50 milligrams of DMAA, so therefore it's pretty powerful. Robert, hi. Alex, hey James, I'm glad that you're still in business. Yes, me too. Thank you, Alex. Please don't go out of business, James. God forbid. Yeah, that would suck. Good morning, James from Sweden. Good morning, Patrick. It's got to be late where you are, right? Good to see you in stream. I enjoy your style and anything you have to share. Thank you very much. Emma, what do you think of trying to gain muscle and maintenance? Is it worth it? Well, you can definitely recomp, and if you increase your protein, you might very well be able to increase your muscle somewhat, even though your overall size won't necessarily appear as big, so to speak. It's almost like you won't get as big a pump, but the muscle tissue itself can be kind of enhanced through the extra protein. Yeah, because if you ever notice, a lot of times when you stay on maintenance, you can stay the same weight, but you'll look better and better and better at that weight. Your body refines itself. So yeah, definitely just get more protein in that kind of situation. What do I think of Luzia Cartham? I have no idea who that is. Please explain that a little bit more. What are your hobbies, James? What is your daily routine? As some of you know, I'm a competitive ballroom dancer. So I do Latin dances and smooth dances, and that's one of my big hobbies, I guess. I also read a lot. I read voraciously. Thoughts on the good Dr. Greg Doucette? You know, I hate to criticize other YouTubers. I think, you know, he seems like a nice enough guy who's doing a really good job blowing his channel way the hell up. I don't like the use of Natty or Not videos the way he uses them, because I'll be honest with you, in this industry that you guys have made, it seems acceptable, but in anywhere else in the world, it would be like bullying or attacking somebody, where you sit there and go, hey, you, that guy over there, you're doing something illegal and you're a scumbag because you've been lying. That in almost anywhere else in the universe would be a bullying attack. So I find that to be, at the best, not an admirable way to increase your business. Do you mean? Although I guess nobody really agrees with me because they're the hottest thing on the internet. I don't ship internationally. I'm sorry, Ken. Why are you still at the shop? Because all my equipment here is here for doing anything social media wise. Yeah, Patrick. That's actually a pretty good product, honestly. Hellfire is actually a pretty good thing. Crazy Stack, a customer bought. I don't know. It's probably the old Build 4, which was 4 different pro hormones, which was 4 different steroids. Actually, there was one called Penta, which is 5 different steroids, combined with a different one because it just didn't happen to include that in there, combined with one of the growth hormones. Oh, and he was taking stuff illegally on the side with it too. More bigger muscles though, yes. Blah. Modafinil, you know, bomber pilots use that to keep themselves awake for hours and hours and hours. Apparently, it's really effective because it takes away the fatigue, so it should take away all your fogginess, which is advantageous. Does anybody know why? I understand the stream stays there and I can move it, but it doesn't stay. It's like really annoying. Yeah, but the vibe of the stream is pretty cool. Thanks for pointing that out to me. But yeah, so modafinil, it seems like a great idea. Now, you can buy adrofenol, guys, from a lot of your peptide sites. Like, even Nootropics Depot has it. The place where I recommend you get your smart drugs from. Yeah, I should do Natty or Not videos. Yes, what up, buddy? You never made a video about... I will make something about Loxygenin, okay? I just don't think it does all that much for you. I do not own Rock Bottom. I just work here. DMA and DMHA seem to have little effect on me. Caffeine seems to work better. Any explanation for this? You're just a mutant. Something's terribly wrong with you. No, I mean, different strokes for different folks, man. If you like caffeine better, just use caffeine. Sorry, I got to scroll through here. Is David on steroids? That I'm aware of. And a word of a lot of bullshit, James. I insanely appreciate you being as informed as you are. Helps out young guys. Yeah, you're very welcome, Troy. I'm glad I'm a little bit of a help here. I need to be on more often. Kelly Muscle got butthurt and threatening him. You know what? In all the defense of Kelly Muscle, you know, if you're kind of a male and you grew up in that. If you grow up with that idea of masculinity and manhood, I'm not talking about this toxic masculinity that feminists talk about, but if you believe in that concept of honor, of loyalty, of maybe not talking shit about other people without expecting consequences, do you mean? Like, maybe, you know, the definition of a beta male really would be somebody who is so divorced from the physical, in a sense, that they don't expect any consequences to their actions if they say things, do you mean? Like, growing up, you can tell people that were on sports teams or more aggressive because you kind of know you can be punched in the face if you say the wrong things, you know? So for Kelly Muscle to sit there kind of like minding his own business and somebody to come along and attack him out of nowhere, I can understand where he would find that objectionable. You know, just like you guys would if somebody came into your life and called you names or said something bad about you. Now, keep in mind, I didn't actually watch the videos, so I'm just making that assumption. I have not heard about Muscle RX by Optimum Nutrition, but I can guarantee you it's not going to be better than regular testosterone. Have a good night, Bryce. You're welcome for the answer, Barbell Duran. Any side effects on Loxygenin? Honestly, I've never heard of a side effect from that, and I do not consider it a steroid. Please teach you how to ingest steroids. Okay, that you can find on YouTube, guys. Actually, appreciate the time you take to answer everyone's questions. I'm trying to. I'm sorry, it's all like kind of scrambled together. I'm not used to doing these really. Kelly's muscle grew in Oakland, and yeah, and in prison. But you know, I mean, James, can I please do a guest call in? I will upload more often. Who would win in a fight, you or Doucette? Oh, I don't know, man. I didn't know we were at that point. I don't even think he's a bad guy. I just don't really like that natty or not idea. Now, I'm not saying, like I said earlier, I'm not saying I can't sell out and become a whore one day, which is always possible. That's why I don't want to criticize anybody in public in case I want to go do those terrible things. Honestly, your best tip to lose weight is you got to start counting your calories, man. You have to start counting your calories. Side effects of nootropics. Headache would probably be the worst one, or feeling dull. You're welcome, Hector. Mark, have you heard about the herb sea moss? Yes, but I don't know that much about it, so I really can't comment on it. James, can you talk about the supplement MSM? I'm on day 3 of it, and I already feel some great effects. MSM, guys, for those of you who don't know, is methysulfur-methane. I believe methysulfur-methane. And what it is it's actually a sulfur product. So sulfur is supposed to be like the third most abundant thing that we have in our bodies, and we don't tend to get enough of it. And apparently when you take large amounts of sulfur, it acts as an anti-inflammatory. It also is good for your skin, your hair, your nails. So a lot of people I know have taken it for like a dodgy shoulder, or your knee, and it seems to work for them. Also, you find a lot of hair and skin products out there too. Oh, and also supposed to detox your body. Oh, fun, weird fact, it takes the smell out of your stool. So you know it's doing something, right? Uh, if you could make a pre-workout, what would be in it? Okay, if I could do one with DMAA or DMHA, caffeine, 8 grams of citrulline, 6 grams of regular citrulline, and 1,000 milligrams of agmatine sulfate, and maybe that's it. Now, if I had to put something else in there, I might put DL-phenylalanine to increase the energy factor of it, and maybe that's it. And if I had to put one more thing on top of that, I might think about putting theanine in it just to take the edge off, and so people would calm down a little bit better at the end. But that's about all I would put in it. I think they put so much extra stuff in there to seem cool, it doesn't do very much. I do not. What is it with you and the castor oil, Kevin? I do not take castor oil. Does creatine have mental benefits? Yes, actually, here's interesting. They wanted to assess whether creatine worked on mental energy, and they actually did a study. I want to say it was Australia, but I could be wrong, where they took a bunch of vegetarians and gave them creatine and compared them to a control group, and they found that they had not only more mental energy, but I guess they performed better on whatever test that they gave them. And in fact, creatine's been used and was actually promoted as an antidepressant in one Harvard study a while back or something like that. So if you have any kind of mental issues, or if you just want to take something, you might be able to expect that to actually give you a more positive state of mind. Creatine does not cause hair loss. I did a video on it. I know you know that too, Kevin. You're probably just asking me that question just to ask me that question. James, I have amazing appetite suppression MSM. That's good. That's good. It could be because it's actually helping your stomach a little bit too. I met multiple people now at college that have taken SARMs or friends who have taken them. Are they really that prevalent, or steroids for that matter? Excuse me. SARMs and pro-hormones have become extremely prevalent. I mean, they're really, 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 really common now. There's still a lot of people that haven't taken them, and I find that people that are interested in them or have taken them will kind of seek out the people that are taking them too. It's almost like you have that commonality and you put out that kind of energy. They're not as common as being like 90% of people taking them. I don't even know what we would say in the gym, but it's still way less than half of people that are in the gym that have taken any kind of SARM or steroid. Way less than half, actually. Black seed oil, I've heard good things about it. Oddly enough, it's only really advertised ethnically. It's really strange, but I've heard good stuff about it. Troy, you could try taking inositol. Inositol is a little bit like, it's supposed to deal with serotonin receptors at a different level than something like Prozac does, but it's supposed to work the same way on things like panic attacks and also phobias. So for example, you could take something like inositol for agoraphobia or something along those lines, and it might help. So I would definitely recommend maybe trying that. As far as how do I deal with stuff like that, mostly I don't. A lot of times I'll fall into this little funk, like maybe for a few months I won't post a video when I should be posting a video, but the problem is I'm still functional because I still work. So you're not necessarily aware that you're not functioning at a higher energy level. Do you mean? And I would be better off if I had more controls in place to spot that when I did, or maybe people that would remind me that, hey, you're not functioning up to 100% of your own optimum. Do you mean? And that's one of the real dangers, is when you're functional, but functioning at a little bit lower level than you really want to be functioning at. A couple things you can do for that is make sure you sleep more, obviously exercise, which you probably do. Some of the smart drugs really help with that, but you need to really try to develop some kind of methodology to spot when you kind of backslide into a bit of a funk. And you would be surprised at how often we get into funks and don't even realize it. In fact, a lot of times you don't even know you're in a funk until it's over, and you wake up and go, whoa, if I feel good now, how was I feeling for the last 2 months? Oh, sorry, I'm just looking through these things again. Yeah, so Troy, that's what I would say with that. But in the meantime, you know what really kind of helps me too, Troy? High dose vitamin D like 20,000 IUs of vitamin D to improve mood and ambition, and also Long Jack, which I get in a PCT product. But if you look up Long Jack or Longfolium, that seems to have an energy and slash motivational effect on me. Also, people too. It's really easy to, guys, and I'm sure all of you have seen this, it's real easy to isolate yourself a little bit when you're feeling a little bit funky. And when I say funk, I mean just kind of a little withdrawn. It's subtle too. Like maybe you don't go this one other place that you should go, but you don't need to. And you slowly, then maybe you don't go out with your friends one night, and then maybe you don't do something else, and something else, and something else. And the next thing you know, you're just becoming overall less productive because you don't have to. Do you mean? And that's really what we need people to watch us for. And unfortunately, we mostly don't do that. And especially for someone like me, like I'm the one that people come to advice for. So there's really nowhere to go for advice from me, so to speak, if that makes any sense to you. And usually people aren't going to come up to me and tell me something. I'm more likely to go up to them and tell them something, if that makes sense again. Still scrolling through all these things. I'll get to your questions eventually here. Island Gym did close. Really sucks. What's my favorite pre-workout beside Euphoria? iPrevail's Rogue, the one I put down in my usually in the little description boxes. James, any advice on first-time shroom trippers? How to prevent anxiety attacks on it? Okay, I have personally never met a single human being who's had an anxiety attack on some kind of either LSD or a shroom trip. I have read about people that say they have, so I would tend not to worry about it. Just limit what you're doing. Like if you're going to be taking a psychedelic for the first time especially, don't go places with a lot of stimuli. You know, stay home. Stay home alone even, or just one or two people, you should be fine. I'm scrolling, guys. Please bear with me. My God, I'm missing so much of this. Okay. James, yeah, just for an update, that's okay. Is it common for me to be stronger than someone on steroids naturally? Absolutely. Strength is very relative to the person and the time that you put into it. Hey James, what are your thoughts on finasteride? It's actually really good for preventing hair loss. It might grow back a little bit of hair on the top too. Hey James, have you ever heard of BPI Sports? AHD Elite and Solid? I've heard of them. I know nothing about them though, except for the brands. Oh, hey Vert, I'm alive, yes. James, are you going to put up a website? Yes, I will for Rock Bottom, just so you have it. Sure. How to fix a messed up metabolism? Define messed up. If it's messed up because you over dieted, they say it only takes about 7 to 10 days eating maintenance calories at least 150 grams of carbs a day to reset your metabolism. Even if it's messed up, like anorexic messed up. Well, maybe not quite that bad, but. Is CBD oil good for joints? It's supposed to be an anti-inflammatory, so maybe. James, what are your thoughts in taking finasteride based on research and anecdotal experience from people you know who take it? You know what? I really don't know that many people that take it. All I know is it's supposed to actually, I think mostly decrease the rate of hair loss and maybe stop it and maybe actually help a little bit of grow back, but maybe not quite the way you think it does. Have you ever looked at an LED red light cap, by the way? They're supposed to work. Here from David Lade. Oh, hey. Hi, nice to meet you. Is there any correlation between taking steroids and muscle tears and why this happens? I think the correlation more is getting too strong too fast and you're just not equipped to deal with it, so to speak. Do you mean? I don't think it inherently makes the muscle weaker, per se. Good night, James. I'm going to sleep now so I can function tomorrow. Vimix, have a good night, man. Please answer about finasteride. You seem knowledgeable in neuroscience and endocrinology. I must have answered before you did these things. I mean, I would definitely recommend it for hair loss. James, do you prefer almond milk or regular milk? I usually just do regular milk. I don't really have a preference. If you could say one piece of advice to society, what would it be? Just one. Other than be kind, I would say everybody should remember to be polite. If everybody remembered to be polite in terms of both courtesy and protocol, things would be a lot easier. And we would hate each other a lot less. Nicholas who? IMA Productions, James Williams, more like Nicholas. I think I missed the reference probably because I scrolled through it. James, can you say XQC Nanish? What does that even mean, Troy? Opinion on eggs, favorite kind? Oh, you know what? I eat like 8 eggs a day. Mostly I scramble them. I really like omelets though, obviously. Don't take psychedelics in general, bro. That's fair. Dangerous, that's fair also. Have you tried duck eggs before? Oh, duck kind of eggs? No, I haven't tried other kinds of eggs actually. Chocolate or vanilla cake? Chocolate. Is there any supplements that are good for your ligaments and tendons? Believe it or not, Osterin and Ligandrol, as the SARMs, have been shown to be good for tendons and ligaments. Also, Biosil or Jarosil. Jarosil by Jaro is like a silicone product supposed to be good for tendons and ligaments. Can Ralph get rid of, I keep pronouncing how to pronounce that though. Raloxifene or whatever the hell it is. I think I deleted that by accident. Anyway, yes, it probably could help it, but I don't really know. All the protocols that I used to remember were Novadex and Letrozole, so I apologize for as far as the gyno goes. Novadex and Letrozole protocols are all out there. Also, believe it or not, Masteron is supposed to be good for that too, which is actually a steroid, which would give you an excuse to use one if you wanted to. Is there any supplements that are good for your ligaments? Okay, we already said that. Thoughts on Derek from More Place, More Dates? Again, he seems like a nice guy. I know he does the Gorilla Mind stuff. Again, I've told you guys before, I don't really like that whole natty or not thing to get views, especially if your channel wasn't getting very many views to begin with. I think there's a fundamental, I don't know, hostility to it, so to speak. You know, you're like victimizing other people to get your own way. But other than that, I think that he seems like a nice guy. I really don't watch, you know, that much stuff from him. Best prevention for tendonitis, maybe food. You could try turmeric, curcumin, basically turmeric curry. That's supposed to work for the well. James, I heard a certain amount of Xanax could cancel out a panic attack. I know Xanax is hard to get a hold of. Any substitutes? Inositol. Inositol was shown to lower panic attack incidence from 10 to like 1. It did better than Prozac. So yeah, definitely get some inositol. L-theanine works also. What's your favorite food? Lasagna. Lasagna, please send me lasagna. The cinema of this live stream is insane. That's so nice of you to say, considering that I'm like, blah. Collagen also works. Yes. I heard that too many eggs a day is bad, like over 6 a day. Haha. But did you eat 8? Yeah, but they backed off the whole eggs thing. You know, for a long time they were saying the eggs had too much cholesterol. Now they're like, well, it's good cholesterol, it's good for you. When I was eating way too many eggs and I had my cholesterol checked, and this is me eating close to a dozen eggs a day, my good cholesterol was like 76, which is outside the normal good range. I mean, you can't even get there with medication usually. And my regular cholesterol was extremely low, my LDL. Huh, what does it mean when somebody with Swift Ripper was timed out? That's kind of weird. I heard that to me, okay. Biggest misconception about supplements? That they'll do something for you. That like, that the over-the-counter stuff that isn't like a steroid or a SARM is going to make this dramatic body change on you in terms of the advertising. That just isn't true. You know, with the possible exception of really creatine, because that does have some pretty dramatic effects on some people. Rad 140 side effects, guys. Rad 140, Rad 140, the big side effects seem to be a drop in testosterone levels or suppression. And also, it can have some effects on your liver, which I don't think are really serious. I think it just raises your numbers a little bit. But the biggest thing seems to be sex drive suppression, which does not happen to everybody, which doesn't even happen to most people, but it does happen to some. How do I fix hip pain when doing volume on deadlifts? Do you foam roll? Foam rolling it out first might help, or even using one of those percussion massagers before and after. You might get a little bit of that. Also, check the angle that your knee's at. That could have something to do with it too. I'm not a big form person for deadlifts, because I'm not big on deadlifts, to be honest with you. Why does beer give you a gut? I think some of that's the bloating, believe it or not, and the way the alcohol kills the good flora and fauna in your body, and also because there's a tendency to drink a lot of beer. So, 8 beers is like 96 ounces of fluid that you might drown in just down in a couple hours, And then we usually throw food on top of that. Where do you plan to take your channel? Well, if anybody starts watching it, I plan on getting up to 1 million people. Although, you know what? I'd be really happy when we hit 100,000. Do you get annoying when people talk about David's natty status? I don't get annoyed by it, but I kind of wonder what they think I'm going to say. Do you know what I mean? I mean, as far as I know, like, he doesn't do stuff in front of me, so as far as I know, he's natty. But if he wasn't, I'm not likely to sit there and go, hey, guys, let me tell you what my friends do. You know what I mean? Oh, Yeti, I'm glad you like the background. Yeti. Super good. Do you notice benefits from biotin? It's supposed to really thicken your hair up. I mean, I know a couple hairdressers that have been around for a long time to put their clients on biotin and see a big difference. Hey, James, I know it's very difficult, but gun to the head, what's the 3 supplements best for preventing cognitive decline? Okay, this is going to sound weird. 1, blueberries, blueberry extract. They did a neat little study on rats many, many years ago. If I remember correctly, blueberry out of all the different fruits increased their ability to stay fitter longer and also with less cognitive decline. And also on top of that, I would say probably phosphatidylserine, extra vitamin C, exercise is a big deal, and probably some sprint work. Some high-intensity exercise would make a bigger deal in the way your receptors work in your brain. Also, some speed might actually help, like occasionally using an ephedrine or a DMHA or a lot of caffeine. Apparently, the receptors involved with adrenaline will actually kind of atrophy after a while, and if you don't kind of feed into them, like if you stay too subdued your entire life, you kind of lose access to that higher adrenaline function, which may or may not be true, but it's something I read once. Yeah, so I said phosphatidylserine, vitamin C, and I would say and maybe resveratrol too. Oh, and CoQ10 because it's good for your brain energy. James, can you make a face for us? Put your bottom front teeth over your top lip and bite it. Why in the name of God, Troy, would I do that? Can you explain why people pass out after a heavy lift? Oh, a lot of times that's when they hold their breath. That's the biggest reason I've seen. Holding your breath, getting dizzy, and you get a massive surge in blood pressure when you do a heavy lift. It's not very common. Good side effects from Accutane. Now, I could be wrong, but that would be the reason I would think. Almost like a Vasovic response. They hold their breath, blood pressure shoots up, and then everything. And then when I say, I think when they stop, because I think the holding your breath actually increases your blood pressure even more. So then when they put the weights down, they start breathing again, especially if they sit down or something, their pressure just drops. Could side effects from Accutane affect powerlifting? I honestly don't know. Does Accutane affect joints? On most of my old videos, I talk about the I Prevail in the thing because I put a rock bottom code, so it should be in almost all the past videos actually. But if you really want it, it'll be the one that said DMHA, DMHA. That's the actual one that I did the video on. James, do you follow Jesus Christ? Wow, that's a hell of a question at 2 o'clock in the morning. Thanks for helping the community. Favorite exercises? Favorite exercise? Believe it or not, I really don't have a favorite. I think I used to like benching like everybody else did, to be honest with you. Any supplements or over-the-counter drugs for acne prevention? Yeah, you guys didn't see my video on that when I talk about how to prevent acne. B5, pantothenic acid, and borage oil will get rid of acne in a lot of people. I've seen that actually work better than Accutane in some people. Doesn't mean that Accutane won't work better than other people, but it's worth a try. The next one, should do a week of loading creatine or just 5 grams a day for however long I want? You know what? I go back and forth with that, but it seems to work better if you load it and you take 10 grams a day. Just saying. Quickest way to describe creative and how would it help me? Oh, creatine. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, quickest way to describe creatine. Creatine goes into your muscle and allows you to short circuit, so to speak, the Krebs cycle Okay, so you basically produce more ATPs and have more ATPs available faster. So think of it this way. Imagine we had a gun, guys. Okay, creatine is like having a gun with one bullet in the chamber and the hammer cocked back. So more ready potential energy, so to speak. And also a little more powerful. With that comes some size, by the way. Do you need PC with Austrian? So what do you want? You don't have to run anything with your PCT, but I would probably take a PCT after Austrian because some people do find it suppressive. So if you have the money, it's always a good idea to take a PCT. Let me put it this way. It's always a good idea to take a PCT. You don't have to do it, though. But it's always a good idea. Hey, Yeti. Yeah, I'm just kind of in the mood right now. James, you know daily upload videos like this would be so fucking enjoyable. Please just daily. Oh, God. Oh, God. You just need some jazz music in the back and non-copyright, of course. Thoughts on Gatorade? Other sports drinks? Okay, my problem with something like Gatorade is it tells itself it's an electrolyte drink, but there's barely any sodium or potassium in it. So it's okay as far as hydration goes, but in reality, I would probably get something with a lot more potassium in it as like a hydration packet. Like we used to sell these things called electric mixes that had 400 milligrams of potassium as well as 120 milligrams of magnesium and no extra salt. And that's much more likely to be helpful. Another thing too, if you want to prevent cramping, here's a neat little pro tip for you guys that managed to sit here for the last hour and a half and listen to me, is drinking mustard, believe it or not. If you drink mustard, if you take like a tablespoon of mustard 2 or 3 times a day, it acts as like a calming down your nervous system. It also seems to prevent stomach problems, and also it prevents cramping that you would get from what you consider to be electrolyte problems. Let's see. James, for Japanese friends, can you say, seriously? That's not even nice. Wait. Nanish Moscow? Oh, wow, I butchered that so bad. Are you from Japan, Troy? Or are you just messing with me? Cardio on leg day? Cardio after doing legs is a good way to finish them off. If you're going to do cardio before legs, you might just want to walk, honestly. Because it's not that it's going to hurt you or anything, but if you do it before you do legs, you can just, and it's like running or something, you're going to do less legs. I mean, that's just what it is. And if you do legs first, you're going to do less cardio. But if you just make it walking, you should be pretty okay either way, you know what I mean? But some people, when I'm training them, like if I think they're a little lazy sometimes, I'll have them do like maybe 2-3 minutes of stairs after their leg workout. It's just to finish as like a finisher. Are there negative effects from wearing a mask while lifting? From my personal experience, it prevents me from breathing properly. Acting got worse and my teeth hurt sometimes after lifting. I would say there's probably no serious effects from wearing a mask while training. Most of it's going to be just subjective, you know? You've hit rock bottom because of the gym's closing? That's actually kind of funny. How can I start back up without injuring myself? You know what? Go often, but not as hard. Like scale it all down to maybe 3 sets per body part, but go 7 days the first week. Do you mean? And keep your weight relatively medium, we'll say, each time until you start feeling yourself getting conditioned. After you start needing to take a day or 2 break because you feel like you've pushed it too hard, then you can slowly go back into a schedule where you can go less often and start going heavier. But in the beginning, frequency and medium is probably work better for you to get back into it. Especially depending on how long you were out for. Like I find that you don't want to push it so hard that you stay sore for so long that it messes you up, you know? Because you're going to have access to so much more strength than a beginner would, but you're kind of in a beginner kind of conditioning situation. Red Bull, Monster, or Rockstar? More familiar with Red Bull. Hey, I just want to know your thoughts on the following 2 things. Tips for better sleep. Okay. Tryptophan to go to sleep earlier. Low dose melatonin to improve the quality of your sleep. And when I say low dose, guys, I mean way less than you think you should be taking. I'm talking about like 0.1 milligrams. I take 0.05 milligrams of melatonin, and that's fine for me. Also, glycine. L-glycine at around 3,000 milligrams at a time seems to improve sleep architecture. and also makes it so that you tend to wake up like that. You'll wake up a lot easier without having that drowsy period with the L-glycine. Hope that helped with the sleep tips. Timu. Is there other things like protein? Matthew, protein is protein. So if it was other like protein, it would still be protein. Ryan, why do we feel weaker every other day when we go to the gym? I would probably need more details than that, but it could be that you're not fully recovered from the last workout, and maybe you're not getting enough sleep either. That usually is the more common reason. Or you're dieting or eating low carbs, in which case you just don't seem to have the energy. Wyatt, correct on the melatonin. James, if you were to recommend a universal stack of vitamins, supplements, nootropics, all in all, what would be the building blocks? Okay. A multivitamin, like a 1 a day, extra vitamin C, phosphatidylserine, CDB-choline, and then everything else becomes optional after that. Maybe some adaptogens like ashwagandha or something. But again, it depends on how you feel. A lot of these things you got to try to see how they work for yourself. Should you supplement potassium as a regular lifter? You should absolutely supplement potassium as a regular lifter. They did some neat little study where they found that people that got over 5,000 milligrams of potassium per day from all sources actually had something like a 40% less likelihood of dying of all causes forever, so to speak. So I would definitely recommend. In fact, most of my clients, I recommend that they eat 2 big green leafy salads of spinach a day, because 8 ounces of spinach is about 1,600 milligrams of potassium. So 2 salads like that is like an extra 3,000 milligrams of potassium. But yes, I do recommend lifters supplement with potassium. That was kind of a long answer. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry if I give you more information than you actually asked for. You know, I do apologize if that gets a little boring. Yeah, we sell something called PCT Assault, which is a combination of like Tribulus and the Long Jack and the anti-estrogen and the arimistane as a PCT, Yeti. Journey to super strength. What are your thoughts on the following melatonin, modafinil? I have heard melatonin is great to reduce oxidative stress in the brain and help you get a deeper sleep. The thoughts on modafinil. Okay, melatonin, yes. And again, like I said earlier, small dosages, like 0.1 milligrams or even 0.05 milligrams is better. Even if you have to break it in half or break it in quarters or take a liquid version of it. Modafinil, extremely good for staying awake, getting rid of brain fog, having to study and keep attention a lot longer. Probably if you use it too often, you'll get used to it, but I don't know that for sure because I haven't tried it. And like I told you guys earlier, if you can buy Adrephenol in a lot of these peptide sites still, including Nootropics Depot. And Adrephenol is basically, Adrephenol came out before modafinil did. Adrephenol turns into modafinil in your body and does the same thing basically. The cool thing about Adrephenol though is it doesn't last as long, guys. So it doesn't seem so overwhelming. Like modafinil lasts like 15 hours. Adrephenol lasts like 3 to 6. So you can take multiple dosages and you don't have to worry about being awake all night long if you take it too late. Jason Blaha's 5x5. I've only seen it referenced. 5x5s or 5x5s. They're usually pretty competent. I mean, again, we're pushing some weight. And if you remember what I was saying about effective reps earlier when I was kind of babbling, if you're in that range of 5 reps to failure, you're in that effective reps range you want to be for maximum muscle growth, according to recent studies anyway. What's the best time to take citrulline malate? Probably 2 or 3 hours before you worked out, to be honest with you. Dinar, you're welcome. Ryan, why is calisthenics and weightlifting mutually exclusive in the beginning stages in terms of strength? Well, they aren't necessarily mutual exclusive, but you just only have so much you can do, you know? And you only have so much energy to devote to whatever you're doing. Mostly I find it, people like to do just one thing at a time anyway. That's like, why can't you do the martial arts and lift weights? Well, you can, but most people find it's easier just to do one or the other, or to focus on one over the other, you know? Benny, I don't know if I would get a Walmart fish oil unless I knew the brand, only because I don't necessarily trust where they're sourcing it from. But any reputable brand should give you a decent fish oil. Troy, if you want to settle your stomach, do at least 2 tablespoons a day, maybe 3. Stretching on between sets. There's different schools of thought on that. Some people believe you should stretch after you train, actually. Just warm up before you train. I think that's probably better to prevent injury. We used to do a lot of stretching before we did stuff. I mean, that was a big thing, but... So between sets, maybe a little bit if you want to. That might actually help move the blood around a bit. Although you could just sit there with a massager instead. Is creatine better taken with some kind of sugar-like juice? Also, is 1 week of 10 grams a day. Then the next week, 5 grams a day. Good. Is creatine better taken with some kind of sugar-like juice? Also, is 1 week... Okay. I think it's Verity. Is that the name? Apparently, creatine does work better with sugar. The more sugary the sugar, like dextrose versus table sugar, the better. So you can use fruit juice. They used to use grape juice because it was more dextrose in it. 10 grams, you could do 10 grams a day for 2 weeks and then lower it to 5 if you wanted to. 10 grams do seem to work better than 5 though, so you might just want to do 10 grams straight through. Or you could load up and do 20 grams for 5 days and then go to 10 or go to 5. It's up to you. I go back and forth with that depending on what study I'm reading at which time. I got addicted to melatonin. Is that possible or bad? It's very much possible to get mentally addicted to it. I don't know about physically, but you get used to taking that and going to sleep, so that's going to be a thing. Hold on a second. Hype Lens, thank you. That's very nice of you. I wish I was brilliant. Whey versus plant protein. If you have a choice, I'd say whey protein because apparently whey protein is more biologically available than plant protein. Theoretically, you could just take more plant protein though, like, you know, to get the same effect. I've never seen a head-to-head comparison to see what that would mean for muscle mass. Theoretically, protein should be still protein at the end of the day, but yeah, whey protein also has the unique effect of improving your immune system by increasing glutathione production in your body, which could be useful too. I don't know if plant protein does that or not. I've never read it one way or another, so I can't tell you. So yes, I would say whey over plant unless you want to avoid whey. How about that? Is it normal for me not to have dreams? The only time I have dreams is when I smoke weed. But my dreams are very strange after smoking, so I avoid smoking weed. Okay. One, you do dream or you'd be dead. I think you die without dreaming. And you just don't remember your dreams. If you want to try something fun, guys, take some B6 before you go to bed, and I can almost guarantee you will remember your dreams as if you're watching a theater. Okay? It's that pronounced. Especially if you throw in a little melatonin on top of that. Yeah, B6 in dreams, wow, watch out. Don't have nightmares when you have that or you're just going to be in for a bad experience. What do you take daily, James? I mean, the various speed products, CoQ10 really, some stuff for sleep, melatonin, glycine a little bit. That's pretty much it really. A multivitamin, not always multivitamin though. Sometimes resveratrol. I go off and on with stuff, guys, because I've been doing this for so long, it's just easy to kind of slip in and out of things. Will test levels be the same forever after taking PCT with a warm, or does it slowly taper off after cycles? Test levels can vary all throughout your life for whatever reason, so it's hard to say. If that's what you're asking me. If I'm not getting that right, just kind of come back because it is getting a little bit late. How often do you ballroom dance? I used to do it a couple times a week, but lately I haven't been doing anything of the kind. Does ashwagandha work? Also, doesn't matter if I get the powder or the pill version. It shouldn't matter, pill or powder, really, although I think some of the pills are standardized. And apparently ashwagandha does work as far as lowering anxiety, lowering feelings of panic, and making you feel better in general. Warley, if you're saying does your test levels become normal after you finish SARMs, the answer would be yes. They should be normal and stay normal. They shouldn't just... If they normalize during your PCT, they should stay normal, is what I'm trying to say. Sweet potatoes, okay. Paul, it's Paul from Kentucky. What's up, James? Hey, how you doing, Paul? Is there a way to train your body to lift to the danger state? Example, lifting a tractor if a kid was under and you were full of adrenaline. I don't think so. I think what we're talking about now is your body's a lot stronger than people think it is. For example, if you ever seen like a movie where somebody gets electrocuted and they fly across the room, well, it's not the electricity that flies them across the room, it's their actual muscle strength that's flying them across the room. You have an incredible amount of power in your body, but your body puts these locks in place to keep you from hurting yourself. So one of the things that you do when you get stronger, believe it or not, in the gym, isn't just muscle growth, it's actually kind of telling your nervous system it's okay to be that strong, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, right? So can you train yourself? You probably have to use That's a good question. Maybe there's a mental trick, maybe some kind of hypnosis to basically give you hysterical strength, even when you don't need to be in hysterical strength. But I would imagine if that were true, I wouldn't want to be you the next day and how you feel. Like when we hear those stories about the little old lady that lifts the car off their grandchild, we don't see how they're probably laid up in bed for the next like month recovering from that, and they're really messed up back, you know. If you're asking that question but found James's channel, I'm concerned for you. What did he say? Well, I don't care. The more info, the better. Don't hold back. Okay. Can you have both fast and slow twitch muscle fibers? If so, are you able to explain? You have both fast and slow twitch muscle fibers. We tend to think of fast twitch muscle fibers, for the most part, as things that lift like real strong power. Like the peak level of a max rep, you're using all your fast twitch fibers, right? Slow twitch, we tend to think about it in terms of like steady endurance stuff or working reps at lighter weight. Those are your slow twitch fibers, the way we think about it. The 0.05 milligrams of melatonin, you'd be better off taking it before you went to bed. A lot of times I take it right when I'm going to bed, which I shouldn't. Or sometimes I'll even take it in the middle when I wake up. Like, let's say I fall asleep and I wake up later, I might just take some then too. Because here's another thing too, I noticed that maybe it's because I take other stimulants, but the melatonin definitely gives me a deeper sleep. And I definitely feel more refreshed, even at that lower dose. Like, I'll just find that my capacity to think better is there. Best rep range for size, trying to grow. Okay. 5 to 8 reps to failure. Like 5 to 8 reps before your actual physical failure is the range that you grow the most in. How about that? And yes, do I think David is natural? Wow, was it 4 questions in a row with that one? What do you guys have, a poll going or something? Or some kind of like pool for money? I mean, to the best of my knowledge, guys, I don't live in his back pocket, but to the best of my knowledge, he's natural. James, would you still recommend DLPA and TMG? Or is CDB coin a better option from now on, in your opinion? I recommend all 3 of them, actually. They just do different things. Any dangers from Novadex? You know what? Everything has side effects. I'm sure Novadex has some side effects. I can't think what they are offhand. I know Clomid, I think, has more serious side effects than Novadex does, especially in terms of vision. What supplements are good for fat loss? I mean, anything that makes you feel speedy is usually good for fat loss because it kills your appetite and tends to make you move around more, which burns off more calories. You know. There might be more psychological, like, are there long-term effects from Adderall use? There probably are. I don't know what they are offhand. There could be more mental side effects from it because, I mean, you're taking speed all the time. It affects the way you deal with the world. If you stay within your prescribed levels of it and you feel okay, and you don't feel too hyper or anything like that, you should be pretty okay. You just want to feel normal on it, you know? Well, that depends. You can leave a couple reps in the tank, but they've got to be real reps. So the problem is most people, when they leave 2 reps in a tank, they really left 5 reps in a tank. Do you mean? So yes, if you left 2 reps in a tank, then you could sit there and say your last, and the idea that the last 5 to 8 reps are the effective reps. Then if you left 2 reps in the tank, so to speak, then 3 to 6 of those reps that you just did would be effective for stimulating muscle growth. And to be honest with you, you may not need that much stimulation to grow. You know, in the beginning you grow no matter what, and then as time goes on, you tend to grow a lot more slowly. And that's probably where people think that using more volume helps, because they're actually trying to create a swelling effect more than just a muscle gain effect. That's my opinion, but that seems to bear out. Should I cycle off my supplements on deload week? No, just keep taking your supplements. How do you know something has a good bioavailability? You know what, that's a good question. You really, for the most part, don't know. You just got to read about it. Best rep range for muscle mass. Believe it or not, the same thing, guys. It's not so much where you start as where you end. So you can do more reps if you want to do more volume, but you still want to be kind of failing at the end of that rep range. So that last 5 to 8 reps give you the most myofibrillar growth. Theoretically, I suppose if you were to do more time under tension, say anything over 40 seconds, 40 to 60 seconds into your rep, so that would be, say, if you do time under tension and your reps, your one set lasts 40 to 60 seconds, that's supposed to be a volume area, and that theoretically might give you more muscle mass in terms of that better pump training. So you want heavy and pumped if you can, if that makes any sense to you. So we got 40 to 60 second rep range in terms of time and retention for pump, and then for the actual myofibrillar growth, we have that 5 to 8 rep range to failure. Best lower chest workout and how to increase chest strength in total. It's been a year since I began weightlifting my chest. Ryan, probably dips, believe it or not, for that kind of lower chest workout. I mean, you can do decline presses. What I usually find is people usually don't require lower chest work. What they're really usually telling me is that they've got body fat in their lower chest. It sags a little bit, and that's what they're trying to get rid of. And unfortunately, that's not something I believe that you can spot reduce. What you might want to try to do is do more incline presses, because theoretically, I would suppose if you could bring your pecs up higher, it would stretch things up higher and maybe create more of the illusion that you have less sort of like extra tissue here. That and losing body fat would help, you know what I mean? Cinnamon's really good for lowering blood sugar. James, does this mean consistent YouTube videos? Yes, but maybe not quite like this. I don't think there anybody's, like, I'll leave this up for a couple days to see if anybody watches it, but I don't know if anybody's going to watch me kind of meander on about this stuff for like an hour and 15 minutes, really. I mean, you got to really sit here and think. James, let's stop doing this, please. It helps a lot of people. Thank you very much. Do you sleep in your store? I've slept here before if I'm tired, but usually not, no. James, what are your thoughts on a Derek from MP selling supposed cortisol blockers, and do you think they work well? Betty, I don't know. Which one does he sell as a cortisol blocker? There are things out there that help with cortisol. I mean, I don't know how much that's going to be anabolic or not, though. But most of his products seem to be fairly okay, honestly. Is it bad to go? I mean, I don't... It depends on the claim he's making. If he's claiming that a cortisol blocker is going to suddenly make you huge or something, that wouldn't be true. And it also depends on what he's using as a cortisol blocker, really. Is it bad to go RPE 8 to 10 every other strength workout, like Dorian Yates and other hardcore bodybuilders? Or should you go easy sometimes? Well, sometimes your body should tell you when it's ready to go easy. I mean, by the time you can do enough power to really make a difference, usually you kind of have a feel of how you are. So if you're not like pathological, like one of those people that are going to kill yourself, if you can, so to speak, you should kind of see where you need to back off sometimes. And most people will unconsciously back off. Like I've seen myself when I have trainees, like as soon as they stop complaining, I know they're slacking. And they'll sit there and say, oh, I'm doing it, and then I'll supervise, and they're like, no, they're not doing it. All of a sudden, they're taking more rest between their sets, they're not pushing as much weight as they could, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can push it that hard, but if you start getting overwhelmed, then you need to cut back. Eddie Hall had himself hypnotized. I could see that, yeah. I mean, especially if that worked a little bit. I mean, hypnosis is kind of one of those iffy things you wonder about. Do you think PED is common, everyday sports, NBA, NFL, etc.? I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know, Solo, how common they are or not. I had a guy one time that actually went through the summer camp for one of the NFL pro teams, obviously pro team, and he actually washed out because of an injury, but he said you didn't see steroids there at all. You know what he said he saw a lot of? People that smoke pot. Yeah, I bet his nervous system was destroyed after a max stuff like that. James, have people died from B6 and melatonin if they had nightmares? Nobody died, no. Did you guys, are you really asking? Okay. No one died. You got rhabdo from what? Visualization for performance can be very important. In fact, I want to do something on that later. there was a whole thing on peak performance and visualization a while ago. It was actually pretty neat. They did this neat little study one time on basketball players where they had 3 groups of basketball players doing free shots. And group number 1 did 75% free shots, and 25% of the time they spent visualizing. Group number 2 did 50-50. Group number 3 did 75% visualizing doing the shots correctly, and 25% actually shooting. And that group improved the most. The group that did the least amount of shooting and the most amount of visualization. And the idea, because their brain got it right every time, so it was kind of programming their body to do it. It's kind of neat. And in fact, one of the books I read a long time ago had somebody that was in the Apollo program doing some of the writing, and they were talking about how the Apollo program itself was a completely manufactured experience. So those astronauts had done the entire trip, and it looked like they did the entire trip before they ever left the ground, as just a giant simulation. Thoughts on Sawyer Klatt? Really nice guy. I like him. What is your definition of natural? Just curious. Somebody who's never done a performance enhancer that would build muscle mass, like a SARM or a steroid. Thanks for what you're doing. You've helped me out a lot. Veggie, I'm glad I have, Veggie Man. Thoughts on more place, more dates? Again, he seems like a nice guy. I mean, I don't really watch his stuff. Like I said before, like I'm not big on the whole people that use Natty or Not videos to make themselves better. But, you know, that's his personal preference because it does work. Thoughts on Greg Doucette? Same thing. Seems like a nice guy. I don't like really people that do Natty or Not videos because they're like attack pieces in my mind. Do you mean? I don't think that's a really great way to make your progress. But hey, it works for him. So what can you say? You know? Do I meditate? Yes, I meditate. Do I believe in ghosts? I don't know. How much calorie surplus do you think is the right amount? I'm 6 foot 170. So you take 170, your weight, you multiply it by 16, right? Then you add 10% of that onto it, and then you add about 400 calories, and you use that as a baseline to see if you gain weight or not. If you don't, you add more calories. If you gain too much weight, you lower it a little bit. That's kind of how you would do that. You're welcome, Swift Ripper. Have a good night. Hey, can a 16-year-old not make that much muscle until his muscle gets mature? No, a 16-year-old, you grow even faster than anybody else does. Do you believe most would benefit from prioritizing strength instead of chasing the pump? It depends on what stage of the game you're at. I mean, I would probably say early on, prioritizing strength is a good idea because with the strength will come the size and the pump, if you think about it. Favorite NBA team? I really don't follow basketball like that. Thoughts on 1,3-dimethyl? It's fun. It gives you a better workout. Are you doing any sort of personal training still, or would you in the future? Yeah, I still do personal coaching. If you know anybody that needs something, just DM me on my Instagram or send me an email. Do edibles have a long-term effect on your body? I don't think so. I think once they're over, they're kind of over. Porfirino Rodriguez, good night. Have a good night. James, what are your thoughts on the Book of Enoch being included in the Bible? Honestly, Solo, I have no opinion on that. You have the oddest questions tonight. What's my favorite alcoholic drink? Tequila. Sammy, I was training legs every second week. I am an intermediate lifter, and suddenly I got the worst cramps. So I had to be rushed to hospital because I had rhabdo and had to get a drip. And you were training legs every second week or every second day? James, any pills for ego boosting, drinking longevity, drinking more than friends, etc.? No, not that I can think of, honestly. Do you do any type of online coaching? Where can I find out? Verity, yeah, just send me a you can use my Instagram and just send me a DM there, or just you could send me an email too on my YouTube. So Instagram or YouTube, either one's fine. James, any pills to prevent blackouts? No. Don't drink, man, if you're having blackouts. I thought Sir Cat's a nice guy. Seriously, did I already answer that? Do you think going for a max attempt can be more of a mental game than physical? Yes, definitely. Bryce, hi Bryce. I work at 7 a.m. What time would you recommend taking citrulline malate for me? I read somewhere to take it on an empty stomach to increase absorption, but it's impossible for me to push empty stomach. Okay. I mean, in a perfect world, you could do it 2 hours before you went to the gym, but just do the best you can because it does last the entire day. So the more citrulline malate you get in your system every day, the more it's going to be there the following day, so you don't have to worry about it as much. Have you tried Wim Hof breathing techniques? Oh, you follow the Iceman. Maybe. I haven't actually looked at his stuff, but I've certainly done different kinds of breathing techniques before. Advice on a reputable source of dimethyl 101, dimethyl 1,3-dimethyl. We actually sell it if you want to come here and get some. You eat a lot of protein, drink 4 liters of water, and sleep 8 hours daylight, but don't freaking recover. Maybe you're working out too many sets or too hard. PPJ Powerlifter, good night, have a good day. Impressed with David Lade's physique. Yeah, he's got a great build, man. Favorite tequila? Cuervo's fine for me, guys. Do you have any methods regarding the motivation of clients? I don't know. It was only they just motivate when I talk to them. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Have you looked into active steroids? Like beta testosterone, to the best of my knowledge, they don't work like steroids do. They might be an adaptogen or block stress or make you feel better, but to the best of my knowledge, they don't work on the same level that a SARM or a pro-hormone would chase. I met every second day, left low, lessons break, bike riding on 15. Yeah, Sammy, please don't do the raptor thing to yourself. That's not good for you. Hyperlens, best method to avoid black stool, already gluten-free, dairy-free, avoid sugar, good amounts of water. I don't know what else to do. Black stool? Have you seen a doctor? You see a doctor about that. Have you seen a doctor about that? Black stool is not necessarily great. What are my thoughts on Alex Jones? Solo, Jesus Christ, man, you're all over the place. Alex Jones has a wonderful voice for what he does, that deep voice or whatever, but I think he's a lunatic. Or just a mercenary person trying to make a lot of money. Is whey bad for acne? Not generally, but I noticed that some people have peculiar reactions to different things. So if there's a correlation with you, you might want to avoid it. How much food do natural seniors need to grow optimally? As I was saying earlier, it seems around 15 sets per week per big muscle group, and 6 to 9 for the smaller muscle group spread out over the course of a week seems to be fairly optimum in general. Well, testosterone boosters are harmless, so you can take them if you want to. Testosterone boosters are usually just going to be like some herbs that normalize your body, so to speak. You mean? Louis Stravosky, how much protein can your body absorb in a given period of time? Will be wasting powder by consuming more than 25-30 grams per. That really depends. Absorption of protein is highly variable. It would make sense that I, as a 270-pound guy, would absorb more protein than a 100-pound girl, right? In the same amount of sitting, you would think. Usually your body doesn't waste food either, so if you take 100 grams of protein, it might just take you 10 hours to break it down. So don't worry about getting too much protein. Yeti, I'm thinking it might not go back to normal till like this summer, to be honest with you. I've read that pandemics burn out around every 18 months, so that would be about then. Veggie Man, depends on how long you've been training. I would think, Solomon, if you told me that you should stop drinking the Kool-Aid. How much sets and exercise do you suggest for push, pull, and leg split? I mean, like I said, like let's say, okay, so you're doing basically each muscle group twice a week. I would probably do about 7 sets each time per muscle group, or 7 or 8 sets to get to about 15, and maybe like 3 or 4 each time for like your smaller muscle groups. Honestly. James, if you were a stock, I would invest all my life savings in you. Thank you. Please upload more YouTube videos. I will. How to reverse diet properly. You know what? There's a lot of theories on that, and some of them should be based a little more on science, but what I would probably tell people to do offhand is don't overdo the calories at first. Bring the calories up to slightly above maintenance, and keep your carbs low in the beginning so you don't really bloat. And after about 2 or 3 days of higher calories with mostly fat and protein, then I would slowly start bringing your carbs back up again. You know what I mean? And even then, I would keep the carbs lower for a while because you were so low carb for a bit. When do I think the pandemic is going to be over? Probably next summer. For athletic sports like basketball, would you prioritize plyometrics or weight training if you had to pick? Oh, I mean, Probably a little bit of both, but I guess they would. I guess you would want to do the sport specific stuff, which are mostly like plyometrics, I think, or sprint and stuff like that, and agility training, and then you would want to pick your weight training to enhance that. Really, assuming that sports, the basketball was the priority thing that you were doing with your life. Great to see you. Your shop looks sick with the lighting setup. Question 1: do you know any pre-workout for heart-sensitive people? Oh. Question 2: you heard that Oklahoma passed mandatory vaccine? No, I did not hear it pass the mandatory vaccine. I didn't even know that was constitutional. And 2, heart healthy pre-workout, what I'd probably recommend you do then is 6 to 8 grams of citrulline and just some caffeine. Just stay with that. It should be good. And if you want to add one other thing, agmatine sulfate maybe. Caffeine doesn't seem to have much of an effect on the heart in a bad way. And citrulline malate is actually good for your heart because it the nitric oxide actually kind of like softens the blow of your blood, so to speak, because it's a vasodilator. What do you think of knees over toes, guys? I don't think I know who you're talking about there. I'm sorry. Do you know Jeff Nipper? No, I do not. I mean, I've seen that he exists. I just don't know him. Do you know Piper Performers? No. Views on taking SARMs? Do you need a PCT afterwards? You should do one just in case. Do you miss old Dave and Dylan vibes? I mean, them coming to your store? Absolutely. It used to be fun. Although I still see Dave a lot more, but Dylan I don't see at all anymore, obviously. Thanks, man. Hoping to get a dozen users someday to meet you, famous James. I'd say half the younger guys who lift know who you are via David. Yes, no doubt. Thank you. I would love for you to come down if you got a chance. Manuel, have you ever competed as a bodybuilder, been to powerlifting meet? No, that wasn't really my thing. Waiting on Rock Bottom website. Okay. How are you doing? CSGO skin content. Wait. Hey James, when you first met Dave, did you think he would go this far? No, I didn't think about it at all, honestly. Liquid versus capsule SARMs. I like the capsules because it looks like they spent more care on them. James, how many milligrams of inositol would you recommend to cancel out panic anxiety attack? Anywhere between 2 to 12 grams a day. You got to play with it a little bit. Should I keep my scapula retracted and depressed while having sex? That's funny. Maybe, but you should only have sex while you're standing up because it actually has more cardiovascular effects. Jeff Schumann, do you have any thoughts on insulin movement products like RPG by Redcon? What if it's worth taking? I mean, if you don't have an insulin problem to begin with, or you don't have blood sugar issues, it probably isn't much of a thing one way or another, to be honest with you. Why is it so hard to grow traps in natural? What's your solution? Well, you could take drugs. That would make your traps blow up. Traps are weird too. I don't like to do too much stuff around my neck because I've had some issues with like nerve issues and stuff like that, as far as like feeling weird. But I would say, you know, if you do a relatively safe, like a safe shrug, you know, bend slightly forward, stuff like that, you'd be pretty okay. And just time. I mean, they'll grow. You just have to do them more often. If you really want them to grow, you should do them like 3 times a week, right? Are you married? No. Are SARMs gain just temporary? No, not really. I mean, you keep most of the weight you're going to gain. One last thoughts on, you know what? I haven't tried nephrostomy or not. I've read about it, so I really can't help you with that. I wouldn't mind trying it. I just have never tried it. Pendlebury, do you have any recommendations for programs for beginner intermediate lifters? Yeah, but could you DM me that on my Instagram? Because honestly, that would be way too long of a response for what we're doing here. Is my Instagram still the same? Yes, it is. I also have it on my YouTube channel, so you know. Restricted blood flow training, I wouldn't try it myself. I mean, if your physical therapist wants to do it with you. James, is there a way to control acne and hair loss on metabolic testing? Would you be interested in coaching steroid cycles? I mean, I can give you some generic advice. I'm not a doctor, guys, you know? Best way to get wider delts, train side delts like every second day. Yes, wider delts, train side delts a lot more often would be the way to do it. May the algorithm gods make this man grow on YouTube. Thank you very much. You know, share videos as much as you can, guys, too, because that makes a big difference. But this is going to be like an hour and a half. I'll definitely leave this on YouTube, but we'll see if anybody watches it or not. Austin, we'll get to it. Hey, from the UK here. Hey, Pendlebury. Yeah, hey, from United Kingdom. I mean, hello, United Kingdom, sorry. What do you think about Jason's 5x5 program? I think any 5x5 program is fine. They're just what they are, and they're good, generally good programs. Is Diana Ball safe for 18-year-olds? Only if you're comfortable with the idea of doing steroids. You're an adult. You have to make your own decisions, you know? I hear sodium ruins your jawline. Thoughts? Well, too much salt can bloat you. And if you bloat, it might ruin your jawline a little bit, yeah. Oh my God, James. Yeah, you know, I wanted to start getting back into YouTube stuff, and I thought I'd come on here for 5 minutes, and now we're an hour and a half later. Please tell Dave to vlog more old content and do more podcasts with you. Yes, I will tell him. Hey, James, I was in the store last week. Thanks for the shirt, by the way. What are your thoughts on the 15 and 16-year-olds on TikTok doing SARMs? Yeah, that's kind of scary, isn't it? 15 years, or even 15, 16-year-olds doing fitness videos in general, right? I mean, but yeah, it's pretty messed up. James, the fact that there's been over 50 people watching this for over an hour, constantly at 3 a.m. to me, most are on EC. Is that good, Solomon? I don't know. I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot to me. I mean, it could be thousands, right? My tricep tendon in my elbow area hurts a lot during skull crushers. Any push downs? Are you familiar with this? Any idea why? Well, you probably just overstrain them. I mean, that's something you probably need to, like, literally just rest. Maybe get some MSM and some curcumin as anti-inflammatories, and maybe get like one of those percussion massagers and run that over that. That might help a little bit. But you're going to need to rest. Maybe switch to a different exercise. Huh. All these people are actually posting. How's James? How's everything? Good. Thank you very much, Manuel. Asgar. Ever since I started bulking, I noticed my face blew up. It's because of this extra sodium. Extra sodium and the way extra calories affect you guys. Like, anytime you've ever gained more body fat, you tend to gain more in your face. I mean, so if you get a little bit bloated from too many carbs and too much salt, it's going to show in your face a lot of times. It doesn't mind. If I dropped 25 pounds, I'd be dramatically thinner than I am right now. Diana Ball can definitely cause acne. It doesn't definitely cause acne, but it can do it. Yeti, panic attacks where you finally exist. That's funny. That is funny. That can happen, though. When life feels too real. I've said that before to myself. These should be a weekly thing on AM with James. Oh, God, yeah. I personally think that's good considering the fact that most of the 13.3K are probably asleep. Yeah, you know what's funny with the subscribers, though? Like, I haven't done anything for 6 months. They probably all forget I exist. In fact, I'll probably get more people. I'll probably lose more subscribers because I just reminded them that I existed than I'll gain right now, at least for a little while. For the most part, they seem pretty benign. I mean, bad things can always happen, but generally I haven't seen very many side effects on SARMs. The big thing would be sexual, like sex drive suppression, and that's certainly not everybody. For hypertension, what do you recommend the most? Full range movement for exercises? For hypertension, like high blood pressure hypertension, or are you talking about hypertrophy? Anyway, yeah, happy to see you doing this. I'm a kind of beginner fitness guy. I've been doing some push-ups and weights, like only at 7.5 kilometers. Yeah, definitely increase your reps, Gokumo. You can always do more pull-ups, push-ups. You can make push-ups harder by elevating your feet. You could buy a pull-up bar for the doorstop. You know, for your bicep, you could use a broom handle and put something on it that's heavy, you know? What are some video topics you got in mind? I want to do a bulking series, like where we do like a 6-week program for bulking on YouTube and just follow people for 6 weeks. I was tempted to do some kind of tricky naughty or not videos that weren't really like the stuff that they do, but something similar. Actually, I was thinking about doing this for Natty or Not video, guys, and I told the guys on Instagram earlier, but I was tempted to do one where I bring somebody on and I go, okay, guys, you guess whether he's natty or not, and if you guess that he's natty, not natty, see if you can find out, or see if you can point out where you think he might have started doing the drugs in his last 3 years or whatever, and what he might have been doing. I thought that would be kind of an interesting test of people. And I also want to do another whole series on the mental stuff, and then visualization, relaxation, basically some basic stuff. And also I want to do some talking about philosophy, like red pill stuff that people talk about, because I do get questions about that sometimes. Okay, be careful when you start taking things like Dianabol, okay? Just be really careful. Do some research first, because if you take too much of it, you're really going to blow it up and you're going to get blood pressure issues and all kinds of stuff like that. You really don't need very much of it if you're going to be taking it anyway. Which way do you recommend? I mean, we sell a lot of metabolic nutrition, which I really like. James, in terms of sexual supplements, which supplements are considered a must-take if you would recommend it? Are you serious? Zinc for one, yes, zinc. Zinc, definitely. Hey, James, how you going, man? Quick question, do you think it's bad to take pre-workout every day for long term? No, as long as you can handle stimulants, you're fine. Honestly, as long as you can handle stimulants, you're going to be okay. If it's something that bothers you or strings you out or makes it so you can't sleep, it's not so great for you. Super Cav, okay, talk to you later. Chase, what do you think we'll be back to pre-COVID normalcy in the world? When do you think? Oh, probably by next summer, I'm thinking they'll release all restrictions. It really depends on how the vaccines work out too. You're welcome, Gokumo. Callan says the Anabol is a general you think is a good stand base to build a foundation and gain muscle like it. Do I think so? I mean, if you don't have testosterone and you're taking illegal drugs and you're comfortable with that idea and you accept the fact that I'm not a doctor, a pharmacist, or anybody else you should be listening to, then yeah, it's a good base if you don't take very much of it. Anything more, you're just going to bloat the hell up. There are a lot of fake SARMs, Callan. I forgot the term, but I meant when your joints are disconnected. Full roommates for it. When your joints are disconnected? I don't want to. I don't think I'm following what you're saying, Hypolens. So I don't want to speculate because I'm not sure what the context of your question's in. Is mass gainers are fine. They're just calories. So as long as the calories fit into your day, they're fine. All calories are just calories. What are your thoughts on power building? I mean, you might be better off picking one or the other to do. It gets trickier when you start doing more than one thing at a time, What are your thoughts on if there will be another pandemic in 5 to 10 years? Probably, but, don't worry about it. James, hypothetically speaking, if it's a 23-year-old, what? If you were going to take Viagra every time you intercourse for the rest of his life, what would be a good dosage to take in terms of milligrams? Viagra, probably like 25 milligrams. Keep in mind that I'm not a doctor or anything like that. Thoughts on andros, 1 andro, 4 andro? Chase, you mean like the DHA derivative pro-hormones? They're just not as strong as the other pro-hormones, but they're fine. Best supplement to help digestion? I would definitely start with a probiotic, and then, believe it or not, get some food enzymes, and also betaine hydrochloride, because it actually kind of like helps the stomach acid that you have to digest things like meat, especially. Biotin definitely is worth the money for hair. Josh Mo, James, I started taking Ostrin, and I noticed I've been losing much more hair than normal. Is that normal? Not usually. If you think you're losing your hair, you're probably not, but I mean, if it's really, really coming out, you're going to have to do something about that. Do you have male pattern baldness in your family? If you really think you're losing your hair, stop taking it. But most people are just paranoid about it. So they'll see a couple hairs on the pillow and think that they're just losing it, Otherwise, you could take some, like, one of those hair shampoos. Like, I don't know, what are they? I can't even remember think what they're called at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you know what I'm talking about. I had a ACL injury when I was younger. You think D-ball would put any stress on those joints? Yes, D-ball would put stress on your joints because your weight gains. Innie or Naughty? Really? You guys are just bored. Actually, I was born without a belly button. Make of that what you will. Ram, I mean, how long should a workout last? I go 2 hours sometimes. Is that too much? I include both powerlifting and bodybuilding. As a general rule, you want to be out of the gym in 45 minutes to an hour. That's not including if you do cardio. So if you're working out much longer than 45 minutes to an hour, you're probably either just masturbating, taking too long between your sets for whatever reason, or socializing too much. Ass or tits. I suppose I'm an ass and leg man, really. Best supplements for skinny guys in bulking phase. In bulking, red meat, weight gainers, red meat, heavy cream, 100 calories an ounce, red meat, because 4 ounces of primers, 450 calories, 4 ounces of chicken, only 120 calories. So try to get fattier foods, basically. Beats underrated. Maybe, I don't know. It's one of those things they're pushing right now. Try it, see if you even notice a difference. Your thoughts on the recent crazy scientists? Yeah, Solomon, I don't know about that. They keep expanding what the whole autism range is, so I have no opinion on that, really. Hey, if I'll be awake at nighttime and sleep 8 hours in daytime, will I recover? That depends. Is that your normal schedule? If it's your normal schedule, yes. If it isn't your normal schedule, maybe not so much. The sleep might not be as good. Wrist pain when doing one-arm pull-ups? Stop doing one-arm pull-ups? It could just be too much stress for your wrist, really. Thoughts on so many young males doing TRT for quality of life? I think you should rephrase that question by saying, thoughts on young males doing TRT because they really just want to be doing testosterone and their doctor will write them a script for it. Because there's not many really young males that, one, have testosterone levels that low without having used steroids anyway. And two, there's not many doctors who are going to give that to people in that category without them kind of knowing what they're giving it for. Do you mean? Because there's other things they could try way before that. Is masturbation bad for gains because I feel so much drained after I masturbate? Well, you may not want to masturbate before you're at the gym because it might sap your energy, but no, it should not be bad for gains. How's the shop going? It's kind of slow right now. Okay, guys, I need to call this a night because there's a pause in the questions right now. We must have answered I don't even know how many questions we answered, but quite a bit. So I'm going to let this stay up for a little while. If nobody looks at it or people complain too much about it, I'm just going to take it down. So everybody, good night. Thank you so much for stopping by because I know I have not been on YouTube for 6 months. Also follow me on my Instagram too because I show up there more often, although I will start making more YouTube videos, okay? Everybody say good night. You're very welcome. Okay, we're signing off in 10 seconds. Ready? 9. In 5 seconds. I am mentally saying goodnight to all of you. In 3 seconds. In 2 seconds. These are really long seconds, by the way. And if you like this, share this and make other people watch this video, okay? Otherwise, I'm not going to do 100-minute videos where I answer all your questions like this. This was insane if you think about it. I will talk to you later, okay? Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.